All right, so it's been a full year of owning our Gen 3 Ford Raptor, which I figured would make the perfect time to do our first little owner review update. What's it been like for the first year? What are the ups and what are the downs? What are the pros and what are the cons of owning a Ford Raptor? I usually do a video like this 1 year into ownership, and if you follow my channel, you know that this is my wife's daily driver. As you guys also know, I use this truck a lot for content, and we've had a lot of fun in this thing for the first year that we've had it. With about 700 miles on the clock, I took it immediately to my buddy Mike. Most of you guys know him as Street Speed 717 and his property, and we jumped it. It did absolutely fantastic. Oh my God. You would expect nothing less from a Ford Raptor. They're kind of built for that. Now, we've taken it on 2 back-to-back Florida road trips as well. And I don't know if a lot of people think of this when they think of a Ford Raptor, but this is definitely one of the best road trip vehicles out there on the market. And we will talk more about that a little later in the video. Now, if you have a trained Ford Raptor eye, you might notice that it doesn't really look like a Raptor out of the box, because we've done some minor subtle changes to the truck. And the first real modification that we did was paint match the front bumper in the color of the truck, which is leadfoot gray. We also painted the front grille in gloss black, along with the hood vent in gloss black as well. And then we have these fender vents right here. They're in gloss black also. Now, just like the front grille was in original format, the rear applique was also in this just plasticky matte black / gray color, and it just looked cheap. So what we did back here was also paint that in gloss black, along with the rear bumper in the color of the truck, leadfoot gray. And it gives the truck such an upgraded, more classy and just nicer look. I absolutely love the modifications that we did to this truck. Is probably my favorite upgrade we've done to any vehicle on the channel ever. And it's not really this big lift kit or anything like that. It just enhances the look of the truck a lot. And it was our friends down in Birmingham, Alabama, Town and Country Ford / TC Customs who did all this stuff. If any of you guys are interested in anything like this, I'll leave a link in the description. You actually get 15% off on anything they offer, whether it's wheels or lift kits, if you guys are interested. Now, without a doubt, the best thing about a Ford Raptor is its suspension with the Fox shocks. For the Gen 3, they increased the travel suspension in the rear to 15 inches of travel, unless you have the 37 package, which basically means they get 37-inch tires, and then that travel suspension decreases by 1 inch. And this just gives the truck an amazing ride on the road. And when you're off-roading, obviously it does its job there as well. So the news that every Raptor owner wanted to hear was that in 2023, Ford is gonna be coming out with the Raptor R. That's gonna have a 5.2 liter supercharged V8 and 700 horsepower. So finally we're gonna have a V8 Raptor again, and the truck's sound is actually gonna match its looks. But the one that we have here is the 3.5 liter EcoBoost. It's a great engine as well. It's just that it's V6. But it has 450 horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque. And while we've had some issues with our Ford Raptors, the Gen 2 and the Gen 3, they've never been motor issues. So we're actually pretty happy with this engine, although we obviously would rather have a Raptor R. But we have some exciting news about the Raptor R in regards to this channel coming in the beginning of February, so stay tuned for that. So it's safe to say that we do love this truck. The Gen 2 that we had treated us well. The Gen 3 has treated us well as well, although there've been some issues that we're going to talk about here in just a second. But before we do that, just take a look at the truck. I mean, it's a great looking truck. So for those of you who follow this channel, you already know about some of the issues that we've had with our Ford Raptor. Now, the first one, I don't know if it's an issue or not. It's just extremely weird, and I still haven't figured out what it is. And I've noticed that it's only during the cold parts of the year. We live up in Pittsburgh, PA, so we get winters and so on. Every time you cold start this thing, it makes an extremely weird sound. And like I said, it's only during the cold winter months. During the summer, even during a cold start in the morning, it doesn't really make this sound. Like I said, I've yet to figure out what it is. It doesn't seem like anyone really knows, but if someone does know, leave it in the comments. So now, for the weirdest issue that we had, and this was last summer. We were in Florida. It was the day before we were about to drive home 1,000 miles. I was gonna go golfing with a buddy, and I stepped out of the condo to start the truck, and it wouldn't start, and it was just making this sound the whole time. The lights are flickering like crazy. And the truck is off. I mean, the ignition's not even on. It's making all this noise. And to make a long day short, was that I was lucky enough to get into a Ford dealership the same day in this small little town in Destin, or Fort Walton, Florida. They got me in there, they put a new battery in the truck, and it fixed the problem up until now. So this truck definitely has some kind of weird voltage issue, because I've heard about this with other Raptor owners as well. The truck was about 5 months old at the time, had about, I think, 7,000 miles on it. And it was just kind of inconvenient at the time, because I was afraid that we weren't going to be able to get home and so on. But the problem was taken care of with a new battery, but it was just extremely weird. I'd never experienced anything like that with any vehicle that we've had on the channel or that I've owned before. So yeah, definitely odd. And now for the third issue that we're having, and I started noticing this just about maybe a month or two ago, and it's very hard to capture on video because it's a faint sound, and it's coming from passenger rear. So immediately I figured it's something suspension related, obviously, or shock related. I had it into the dealership yesterday. We took a look at it, and I'm going to try to demonstrate a little bit here. Hopefully the camera audio will catch this. So I don't know if the audio actually captured that, but basically when you're driving very low speeds and you don't really hear any other road noise, you hear a faint, like a knocking slash clunking sound from the rear, and it's coming from this side. So when I took it into the dealership, they put some kind of like stethoscope looking microphone thing up to the shock while we were kind of bouncing the suspension, and one of the shocks is going bad, or is busted, or whatever it is. It's making a noise, so we're getting a new shock. And I know a lot of you people probably say, well, that's because you jumped the truck, Mike. And you know what? I jumped the truck maybe 11 months ago, and there was no issue whatsoever after that. This sound started coming, like I said, a month or 2 months ago, where I started hearing this. So I can't confirm if it's because I jumped the truck 2 or 3 times, but then again, it's a Ford Raptor. They're kind of made for that. It's an off-road vehicle, and it took the jump great. I mean, it was smooth as, but maybe not the first jump. But I think the second and the third jump was very smooth. It was hardly like we did anything. So I don't think it has anything to do with that, but you never know. But then again, it's a Ford Raptor. You're supposed to be able to do that. Either way, we're getting a new shock for our Gen 3 Ford Raptor within a year of ownership. So we're gonna jump inside, take a quick look at the interior, and then take it out on the road. But before we do that, I forgot to mention, we did get these black Rhino shredders as well to kind of enhance the look of the truck. It's still sitting on 35s, just like it does in original format, but these wheels are 18-inch versus 17-inch, and the tires are 13 wides. And then we also did a 1.5-inch level to the truck, so as you guys can see, there's no rake really. It sits level, and again, it just makes the truck look good. Now, excuse the mess in here. I haven't really cleaned it out. It's winter time. We've had snow previously, so yeah, salty, and it's kind of dirty, but the interior of a Ford Raptor is very, very nice. We got the little Raptor embroiderment there in the seats. This truck has the bigger stereo system as well, so we got speakers in the headrest and all that good stuff. We got the nice fully digitalized instrument cluster. I'm sure you guys have seen this in a million videos already, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on the infotainment system and so on. But the paddle shifters here, we got a 10-speed automatic transmission. Not really a huge fan of this transmission. We got the cool little folding down gear lever there, more of a gimmicky type thing. We have some carbon fiber as well, although I don't really like this weave. It's not the nicest carbon fiber that I've ever seen, and they should put the carbon fiber around the gear lever, in my opinion, because this looks kind of cheap right here. It's just plasticky, so that's a little weird. Now, I have a full separate video on the exhaust system, because for the Gen 3, Ford gave the Raptor 4 different exhaust modes. So we got quiet, normal, we have sport, and then we have Baja, which opens up the valves a little bit. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. It's still a V6. It still doesn't sound very good, but if you guys are interested, I'll link the exhaust video in the description below. A Ford Raptor actually sounds a little bit like a Nissan GTR. Just do the comparisons online. It's got a very interesting exhaust note. And you know, I know a lot of people will say that if you own a Ford Raptor, you should be off-roading all the time because that's what it's made for. And granted, yeah, it is a phenomenal off-road truck. Like I said, the best thing about this truck is its suspension. But the reality is that most people who buy trucks nowadays, and even a Ford Raptor, they're not going to be off-roading all the time, if ever. They're going to be driving it on the road, just like they drive a normal car, like a Honda Civic. They just want a truck, they want more space, and this thing is fantastic on the road. Again, the suspension makes the ride, it almost sometimes feels like you're driving some old Cadillac from the 1980s. It's just floating around on the road. It is such a comfortable ride, and you have all, you know, the luxury amenities that you would expect from an $85,000 vehicle. Yeah, the suspension is absolutely phenomenal. Best part about the truck. Now, the one thing that is overrated when it comes to these EcoBoost engines, and we're going to go to one of our trip meters here. So 5,413 miles, we're averaging 12.9 miles per gallon, and that is with at least one Florida trip combined in there. So because it's a V6 doesn't mean that it's going to be better on fuel. Now granted, if you're really babying it on the highway, you can get okay gas mileage, like up to 18. But then as soon as you get into any kind of city traffic, as soon as those turbos are engaged, they're sucking more fuel than a naturally aspirated V8 does. So, you know, they want to downsize to 6 cylinders for whatever reason, and it's going to be more economical and all that. That's not really true. So that's one thing I really don't like about this truck. So for the $85,000 price range, as we mentioned, you get a lot of features. So we have collision warning, we have lane keeping system, phenomenal backup camera, 360 camera, different cameras for the bed, obviously dual zone climate. We have heated steering wheel, heated cooled seats. This truck basically has the full package, along with being a phenomenal off-road and road trip vehicle. So is the Gen 3 Ford Raptor really worth it? And I say yes. Now that the TRX is out, it definitely has a major competitor, but for a long time, the Ford Raptor was the king in this segment. And I would actually say that it still is. When it comes to the full package with off-roading, and now also the power plant in the Raptor R. On a personal note, I'll be finding out here pretty soon if the Raptor R is indeed better than a TRX with the bigger power plant when it comes to the trucks in this segment here. But like we said, this is our second Raptor. We had a Gen 2 as well. It didn't cost us as many problems as this one has initially in its first year of ownership. Hopefully it'll stay problem-free for the rest of the time here. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this owner's review of the Gen 3 Ford Raptor. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you're stopping by for the first time and you haven't already and you want to, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.